materials that we're discussing today, so we'll be available to answer those questions. And then at the conclusion of that, if any of you need any further information, you know you can email my office, and we'll be happy to either help you or set up a time when we can't help you.
Whatever's easiest for you, whatever pop you want to put that
Pleased to
in.
meet you today.
Yeah, and then I'll just make sure the wire's in. And the mic is hot right now, so just everybody know that before we go in.
Okay, I'm going to do a brief introduction before you walk out. So, is the superintendent going to say anything? Or?
Yes.
After
Okay.
that,
Okay.
I'll introduce.
All right, so you're going to do that. And so then up front, we'll do this group right here. We got
Brantley's coming.
Okay, let's wait on Brent.
The special, and I want Brantley up by the general. I want Brantley up by the general.
Get in order before you go out, because there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Okay. Okay.
Wait.
No,
Wait for the list.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not thinking no, I won't do that. You're going to be in the order that you're walking out there because there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Okay.
So,
All right. So
we're just waiting on
you followed
Brantley.
You didn't follow the general.
I'm going to go out and just welcome and thank them for being here. And
Brantley, once you be, there's not going to be much room. So.
I'll figure it out. Wait 30 seconds. Wait 30 seconds.
He should come over and knock on you. We're the ones waiting. He wants you to because That's exactly the point.
We're going to go first because the cameras are going to be straight on. They don't need to say. You have a live mic.
Cell phone silence thing.
Yes. Yeah, but I don't have a floor anyway.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. 2 hours ago, the state of Texas filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Education and the Department of Justice regarding their directives that open up all school bathrooms to people of both sexes. We're taking this action to protect Harold Independent School District, which on Monday night fulfilled a responsibility to their community by adopting a bathroom policy that puts the safety of their students first. Unfortunately, the policy placed them at odds with those federal directives which were handed down earlier this month. That means the district is in the crosshairs of the Obama administration, which has maintained it will punish anyone who doesn't comply with their orders. Harold ISD is now facing legal action or the loss of school funding, all for enacting a policy to protect their students. It is worth mentioning that the board also included accommodations for special circumstances on a case-by-case basis. Though the board is in Texas, this is obviously a case of national interest, as we are being joined by several other states, including Alabama, Arizona, Georgia, Louisiana, Maine, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. It represents just the latest example of the current administration's attempts to accomplish by executive fiat what they couldn't accomplish democratically in Congress. Simply put, the Obama administration is creating new law outside the bounds of the Constitution, making the kind of changes only Congress can make. In fact, some members of Congress have attempted to make that sort of legal change numerous times as early as 1974 and as recently as 2015. Each time, they failed. So, just as they did with issues like immigration, the Obama administration has decided to simply exclude Congress entirely. By forcing through his policies by executive action, President Obama has excluded the voice of the people. We stand today to ensure that those voices are heard. Make no mistake, this is no reinterpretation of terms. It's an entire rewrite of law, and that is constitutionally the purview of Congress, not the President of the United States. Texas will continue to stand up to President Obama and his agencies whenever and wherever they attempt to circumvent the rule of law and ignore the voice of the people. I would like today to introduce the superintendent of Harold ISD, who is going to make a comment. David Thweet, thank you for being here. Please say a few words.
As someone who served in education for over 36 years, I know how important our duty is to protect the privacy, the safety, and the dignity of all students. That is why we adopted a policy that ensures every child's privacy is safeguarded in restrooms, locker rooms, and showers. The Obama administration is threatening to economically harm schools across the state by denying them millions of dollars for simply adopting common sense privacy protections for the children in our schools. The Obama administration is unlawfully intruding on local matters by imposing a one-size-fits-all decree for Texas schools. Washington's mandate doesn't fit our schools, so we are suing to keep the federal government out of our children's locker rooms and restrooms.
Thank you, David. So I want to also thank the lawyers that have been involved in putting this together. Obviously, it was a lot of work in a short period of time, and at this point, we're open to answering questions.
Does this essentially make you all allies with North Carolina and its battle against the Justice Department?
Well, they're not involved specifically in this lawsuit, but we're definitely sympathetic to their cause.
Have there been any instances where transgender children having access to the bathroom of their choice has resulted in something harmful or dangerous for other students?
At this point, it's not what this lawsuit about. This is really focused on the law and forcing the Obama administration to go to Congress if they want to change in the law.
Are you all worried that there will be some negative business consequences to this, like people are threatening in North Carolina?
You know, people make their own decisions, but, you know, there are 11 states involved in this. Presumably, there could be others. You know, there are only so many places to go. But what I can tell you, having been in Fort Worth recently with about 100 parents who were upset about what the superintendent did in Fort Worth, this crosses socioeconomic lines, Republican, Democrat lines. This is about parents who are upset, grandparents who are upset, and they want to make sure that the safety of their children is taken care of.
General Paxton, setting the federal directive aside, do you believe transgender children exist, and do they warrant protection?
Well, I'm not going to set the federal guidelines aside because that's what this whole lawsuit, if you've had the opportunity to read our complaint, but it's all about the federal directive. It's not about a side issue or a sideshow. It is simply a matter of telling the President of the United States, telling the Department of Education, telling the Department of Labor, telling the EEOC that they don't have the authority to just change law, that Congress really does matter, and the Constitution is fundamental to how this process should work.
But are there transgender children, and do they warrant protection?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Are there transgender children out there, and do you think they warrant protection?
Look, I know that in this case with Harold ISD, they have a policy that will deal with that on a case-by-case basis. That's up to them. That's up to school districts. That's up to parents to deal with it on a case-by-case basis and to deal with their own school districts.
But the lawsuit does mention the safety of children. You just said it yourself. Are you aware of an instance where this has ever been a safety issue?
Well, obviously, this is a new policy, so there's not a lot of research and study. So, you know, there hasn't been a lot of research based on these guidelines. These are brand new guidelines that are just now being looked at, and for the most part, they haven't been implemented.
Do you believe that transgender people are more prone to commit sexual assault than cisgender people?
I have no comment on that. I don't know.
If there are no instances you're aware of, is the cost of suing the federal government worth it at this point?
The cost of defending the Constitution is always worth it, because without the Constitution, our democratic process no longer works. We no longer have representative government, and so absolutely, we'll defend the Constitution till the day I leave.
How much do you think this will cost?
I don't have an estimate on that. Hopefully, they'll get the message and they'll stop. I mean, hopefully not much, but look, we're willing to fight this all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court if we have to.
Are you arguing here that state interpretation of federal law trumps federal interpretation of federal law?
Well, I'm telling you that they didn't follow the proper procedures, and that this isn't an interpretation of law. This is a new rewrite of law. So we're not talking about interpretation here. We all can read the statute as it's written, and it's not an interpretation. This is a rewrite.
Harold ISD's policy includes making accommodations on a case-by-case basis. How does that differ from the federal directive?
Well, there is no case-by-case in the federal directive. It just tells you this is what the new policy is, and a school district that doesn't follow that policy risks losing federal funding.
You said you've met with parents who
children who are not transgender. Have you met with any parents who have transgender children?
Have not had the opportunity. As you know, this is a very new guideline issued by the administration, what, 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago? So no, I have not had the opportunity.
But you have had time to meet with them?
Do you plan to meet with parents?
I'm open to meeting with anybody. I represent the entire state, so I'm open to meeting with anybody.
Has Harold ISD identified any transgender students or students that have come forward that said they may be transgender, this policy may benefit them in some kind of way?
Would you?
No, they have not.
Yeah, I know you. Anybody else?
If this does end up before the Supreme Court, do you like your chances there? And otherwise, are you risking accelerating an adverse decision that would have broader implications for the nation?
You know, we didn't pick the timing, the administration did, so we just do what we can based on what we have. The timeline was not set by us, it was set by the administration. And so we're going to go forward. You know, who knows what's going to happen by the time it gets to the Supreme Court. We may have 9 justices, we may not. We'll pursue it either way.
How did you enlist the support of these 10 states, and were there any states you invited to participate and didn't?
You know, there's always calls back and forth. I wasn't involved in most of those calls, so I Brantley, do you have a comment on that?
We had a number of states reach out to us in the days following the guidelines from the federal government who were interested in taking action.
Have any other districts, school districts, or administrators, aside from the one mentioned as a plaintiff in this lawsuit, expressed an interest in pursuing this to you?
There have been interest. This is the first one that was able, because you know it takes time to pass a policy and have a school board meeting. So you know we're open to helping any school district that wants our help.
Have any others expressed that they are confused by the federal directive?
They've expressed concerns. We've had expressions of concern, but confusion.
And which ones?
I'd rather not say. I'd rather let them identify themselves.
So did the district approach you, your office? Or did you
We've had districts approach us.
But I mean,
in this case, I'm not sure. There was communication back and forth, and I don't know exactly where it all started.
Can
you
you tell
identify
us?
who else is here today with you?
Sure. Why don't I let you guys introduce yourself?
My name is Andrew Leone. I'm the Associate Deputy Attorney General.
My name is Parag Shah. I'm Senior Counsel to the Attorney General.
My name is Michael Toth.
Austin Nimitz.
Brantley Starr, Deputy First Assistant.
And Jeff Mateer, First Assistant.
And then I think Mark introduced himself.
And could you, sir, would you mind giving your full name?
David, I'll spell the last name, T as in Tom, H, W, E as in Echo, A as in Alpha, 2 more T's as in Tom.
How much did
And you're the
Superintendent.
Superintendent.
Harold with 2 R's, Harrolde.
So can you speak to that? Did you approach the Attorney General's office to get involved in a lawsuit?
They did contact me, but I was going to be calling them in a few hours.
How old is your district's policy with regard to gender identity and accommodations at school?
The one that was just passed, we passed on Monday, March 23rd.
How much did it?
May 30th, May 23rd.
It was May.
May 23rd?
Yeah, I have M problems, sorry.
Yeah, what's your enrollment? You could give us just a little bit.
100 students K through 12.
Did you pass this policy in order to join a federal lawsuit?
We passed the policy because we believed in it. We think it's necessary for protecting the security and safety and dignity of children.
How much did it
Sorry,
cost
sir,
to
we
take?
can't hear you because the microphone's on the Attorney General. If you'd step over to the podium and stand next to the Attorney General. We couldn't hear that response.
Do you want to re-give the response?
Yeah, we passed the policy in order to protect the safety and dignity and security of the children.
How much did it cost to take HB2 all the way to the Supreme Court? I'm just trying to get an idea of what that process costs if this goes all the way.
I don't actually have the numbers in front of me. We can certainly get that to you through Mark.
How are you planning on enforcing the new policy in your school district?
The same way we're doing it. This is just basically an extension of the status quo.
How many transgender students do you have in your school?
We have none that we know of right now.
You say none?
None.
So is this something that do parents bring this to you, or teachers, or other administrators? I mean, why deal with an issue that is apparently moot in your district?
Well, it's not moved because it was thrust upon us for. He told us we had to open our restrooms to opposite sex or we were going to risk losing our federal funding. So we didn't start the fight, but we will carry it to it.
Specifically for your district, how much, if they did strip the money that they're talking about, how much would that hurt your district?
Approximately right now, we don't know which federal funds are affected, but for us, it would be approximately $117,000 per year.
You said school districts express concerns. What are those concerns specifically?
Typically, it's coming up through parents, I think, and it's safety concerns about bathrooms, locker rooms. They have to potentially share rooms when they travel, so that it's those types of concerns, safety.
How many complaints did you have from around the state about things like that occurring?
Well, as you know, as I said earlier, it's a new policy, so there has not been a long period of time for complaints. We've just had some concerns expressed by both individuals and school districts.
So how quickly after the superintendent got into it, did you communicate, did you bring lawsuits? What was the time period?
Say that again, I don't quite.
The time period between when you talked to the district about their interest in joining the suit and the actual suit being brought?
I don't know the exact time. Was it?
We filed suit today at around 12:30, and the policy was passed Monday night by the school board. We had other states reaching out to us in the meantime, all coordinating efforts, because it was a multi-state coalition, coast to coast.
So had you been soliciting other states, or were they aware of it?
They reached out to us after seeing the federal guidelines.
We have time for one more question.
I'm sorry, Mr. Superintendent, can you summarize the policy passed Monday night again?
We basically, our status quo policy is to say that we are only allowing same gender usage or sex usage in our restrooms. In other words, males are to use males, females are to use females, based on their birth certificate data.
Thank you all very much.
Again, any of you that have any further